My name is Sarah Nelson. I'm the president of the Association of Flight Attendants, and
I'm Julie Hedrick. I'm the national president of the APFA, representing American Airlines flight attendants.
And we are really glad that you are joining us because we have 10 days. Congress has a deadline of 10 days to get an extension of the payroll support program from the CARES Act. And I think we want to take a moment to just review what that means. So many of you have talked about the fact that this is not a corporate bailout because back in March, we all worked together to get the first ever Workers First relief package in the CARES Act. And the only 1.25% of the total CARES Act was designed to be totally workers first. So our care package, our relief package in the CARES Act was defined by this. It said that the money could go to the airlines, but it had to go only to workers' salaries, pay, and benefits. So that's for us. It said that the airlines could not involuntarily furlough anyone, and it also put a cap on executive compensation, a ban on stock buybacks, and dividends. The other thing that it did was it said that there could not be a reduction to any hourly pay rates. So that actually provided a lot of certainty for all of us during this time as well, to keep everything in place and to recognize that the crisis that we're in the middle of, the coronavirus crisis, which is the biggest crisis aviation has ever faced in over 100 years. It is the biggest crisis our country and our world has faced in over 100 years. And it is a demand problem. It is not a labor cost problem. So there's no way that we could cut our pay or cut our contracts to fix this problem. What we really needed was support from our government. And we got that for the industry, but what we said was that it had to be focused on the workers. And the reason that it has to be focused on the workers is because we continue to provide the essential service to all of our communities to keep our country going, even during this crisis. And we also needed to remain strong. So while everyone is at risk of catching this virus and having the impacts of this virus affect them and their families, we need to keep as many people strong to be able to take care of themselves. So we were able to stay in our jobs, connected to our benefits. That meant that we were not on the unemployment line. It meant that our airlines were able to continue service to all of the communities that we were serving on March 1st, so that all of our communities stayed connected. And all of that was a pay back to the public with the investment that the public was making in this money to keep us in our jobs and connected to our benefits. So where are we now? We are still right in the middle of the crisis. Everyone recognizes that. And because of your action all over the country, we have been able to get massive bipartisan support to continue this successful jobs program, to continue this until March 31st of 2021. We have so much support that no one is any longer talking about whether or not it's a good idea to extend the payroll support program. Everyone agrees. And in fact, it is now being talked about as the reason that the parties can get together for a larger relief package, which is what we need to have happen. So we want to be very clear. There is no bill that currently exists that has our payroll support program in it, or no bill that currently exists for overall coronavirus relief. That's what we need. So I want to take you back. In May, on May 15th, the House passed what was called the HEROES Act. That didn't even have our payroll support program extension in it because we were not even in a place yet of recognizing that we were still going to be in the middle of this crisis in October. That happened so long ago with very important, vital things that will help our country, like the extension of the unemployment benefits and like making sure that public transportation can continue and that our hospitals will have all the PPE it needs and all kinds of relief issues that our country needs. But that has not yet been passed. And those items that were in that bill are expected to be in a larger relief bill. Maybe not the same as the HEROES Act, but the components of that are expected to be in a larger relief bill. So that was the action the House took. The Senate did not act at all until just a little over a week ago. Senator McConnell, Leader McConnell, introduced a package of just $500 billion that was actually voted down. So there is no active legislation at this time for a larger relief bill. But what everyone has said, Speaker Pelosi, and we spoke with her just on Friday, and Mitch McConnell has said separately, and the White House has said separately, that if there's a coronavirus relief bill, our payroll support program extension is in it. And they have all said that it's a priority, and they have all said that it's important that this get in place. That's fine. Words are great. But what we're saying now is that there's 10 days to act. And our jobs on the line on October 1st, and the fact that there is so much agreement about continuing to keep us in our jobs and keep the vital service to our communities going, is providing a deadline now for Congress to act. And so we need to keep up our action to make sure that they get that full relief bill in place with the extension of our payroll support program, because that is the best way to support our airlines, our jobs, and our future, the entire future of our economy. So I know Julie wanted to talk a little bit about some of the events that have already taken place and what you have done to put us in a place of being able to be this close to getting this done.
Yes, Sarah, thank you. Our workers deserve a huge shout out for all the work they've done over the last couple of months. So we know at APFA alone, there's been 55,000 emails sent to Congress. So combine that with what AFA has already sent out, we're in the hundreds of thousands of emails sent out to Congress to tell them to extend this PSP. There has also been thousands and thousands of calls made to Congress to let them know, and especially from our furloughed flight attendants, letting them know how important this is, that they extend the payroll support program now. We need this. We have letters to the editors that our flight attendants have been writing, and they've been publishing them in local papers, letting them know what's happening to their jobs. This has been great. I can tell you the events that have gone on, they've been all over the country so far. Let's see, we've had Miami, we've had Charlotte, Philadelphia. I know I attended 2 events in Dallas, one for John Cornyn's office, and that was really important for him to get the message to Mitch McConnell to get back to the table and negotiate. We've got to get this done. We also were at Ted Cruz's office in Dallas. Different message there. We know he doesn't support us, but we want him to know we are his constituents, we vote, and we will be out of a job October 1st if this does not happen. So great events, the ones in Dallas, everywhere were so powerful. I know, Sarah, you were at the event in Washington. I really wanted to be there, but unfortunately, due to many things, we're not able to be everywhere at the same time. But that's the great thing today, is we're working together to make this happen. And we've got so many flight attendants everywhere across the country working to get our message out there. I do want to mention also all of the events that are scheduled for this week. And please, if you're in these cities, you need to attend. So we've got on Monday, 3 events. We've got Orlando, Detroit, and Minnesota. And on Tuesday, we have Atlanta, Phoenix, and New York, and Wednesday, Los Angeles. So we'll have all the information for you. Go to either the APFA website or AFA events calendar, and we'll give you all the information you need to attend those events. So thank you for all the work you've done, but our work is not done. We have to continue pressing Congress and making sure the White House is getting this message also.
Yes, Julie. And I just want to let everybody know that if you're watching this on the APFA page, or if you're watching this on the AFA page, in the notes at the top when the video is ended, if it's not there yet, we will have links to what Julie was talking about, links to those events, and also links back to where you can take action and continue to call your senators and representatives every single day. Want to remind you, we're 10 days out. Congress has a deadline. They have an absolute deadline, and Washington needs a deadline in order to act. This is, as we know from negotiations, a deadline is very important to get the parties to the table and understand that they have a deadline to get it done. So we're 10 days out. Plan to call every single day. Plan to attend one of those events or schedule your own. You can also host one of your own, and we'll help you put forward those events. But also plan to call your representative and both of your senators every single day. So it's 10 days out. Remember, have I called on day 10? Have I called on 9 days to go? Have I called on 8 days to go? So all of those notes will be at the intro to this video. If you're watching the archived version, we'll have all of that there for you. I do want to note, Julie noted that there was an event in Charlotte, and every single one of these events has made a difference. So after the first Denver event, we got Senator Cory Gardner to start a letter where we got the 16 Republicans to sign on and show that we had massive bipartisan support in the Senate. More recently, we had another Denver event, and Cory Gardner sponsored another letter where in less than 24 hours time, he put out a note to ask other senators to join. So in the meantime, the first time around on the letter, Senator Tillis from North Carolina refused to sign on to the Republican letter. So we had an event there. Flight attendants got to his office, and guess what? This most recent letter, he was the second senator to sign on. He was clamoring to show that he supports us. That's what happens. I can give you actually an example of that from every single one of the events that we've had, but also what we're doing in having these events. So we're putting pressure on our representatives to take action and to say, you can't just support us. We're not handing out participation trophies. You have to actually get the job done. So we need you to not just support us, we need you to be our champions until this gets done and our jobs are secure. So we are continuing to push forward on those events, because the other thing that it does is the big national news that we get is very important, because leadership sees that and it helps to raise the importance of the issue across the board. But those local stories, those local news stories, the letters to the editor that Julie was talking about, all of that puts direct pressure on our individual representatives, who then put pressure on Speaker Pelosi and on Leader McConnell and on the White House to get this done. So every single action that you're doing is so important. And we often talk about this. We often talk about after a critical incident that where people have been hurt or lost their lives. A lot of us say all the time, if there's one thing that we could have done to make the difference, if there's one thing we could have done to bring our friends back, we would have done it. We need to take action like that right now, because we have 10 days until this egg is scrambled. People are furloughed, and also our airlines don't have the support, and the rest of us who remain on the job also have our jobs at risk. We can stop that. We have the ability to stop that. And so we need to act right now to do that one extra thing that we don't want to wish later that we had done. And we have lots of examples of flight attendants getting the job done. We are the reason that this is actually being talked about as a possibility to get done right now. And I'm very optimistic. I know how much we moved things in the last week. I'm very, very optimistic about this. But we got to keep our foot with our pedal to the metal here and keep it going. So this is important to the airline industry. And I know that people are wondering, we had hoped to have this done in August, because I know that people are working on plan Bs. Of course, we've been working on trying to minimize the damage to everyone. There's no way to do that with demand down to just 30% of what it was a year ago, and revenue down even less than that at just 15%. So for example, over Labor Day, we had our highest travel numbers in the past several months. But even though we had 50% of the capacity filled up as opposed to a year ago, it was only 25% of the revenue. That's just not sustainable. And so we can try to mitigate this as much as possible, but the only way to truly save our industry and save us and put us on the best footing forward is to have the PSP extended. That's why we've got to put everything into this. We all have a lot of jobs, but we've got to put everything into this work right now to give us the best possibility for going forward. So it's going to be a little chaotic when we save all these jobs, when we win in October, because it's not a normal planning event like you would normally plan 2 months out for the schedule coming forward. This is going to be a last minute thing, and it'll be a good chaos to have. But Julie, I know you've gotten some questions around what will it look like in October if we get the PSP extension.
Absolutely, Sarah. I travel back and forth to Dallas every week, and I can tell you most of the flight attendants I've been talking to on a regular basis on my flights are all the flight attendants who are being furloughed. They're the ones who are working, flying today through these unprecedented times. And I know how stressful it is. It's a really stressful time for them because they don't know if they're going to have a job or not October 1st. And I can tell you, I know what that feels like. I was furloughed a long time ago, and I remember thinking about, I can think about it today. I was so worried about losing a job I loved, and when was I going to be called back, and what was I going to do in the meantime? So I can tell you one of the questions that I hear on a regular basis is, when we get the PSP extended, will we be paid in October? And absolutely, we have been in discussions with the company. They started in August, and they change every week because, as all of us know on this call, our schedules we start bidding for them the month before. And so every week that discussion has changed with the company. But always it's been not if you're going to be paid, but how you're going to be paid and how we will do this. So I don't want you to be stressed out about that anymore. You will be paid for October when this payroll support program is extended. And in the meantime, I want you to help yourself by not stressing out over it. Have hope and make a plan every single day. This next week, make a plan who you're going to call. If you're going to write a letter to the editor, if you're going to send another email, have your friends, have your family all do the same. The more that we can get that message out, the better it is for us. So I know it's a really, really stressful time, and I really hope that you can do everything you can to, maybe that action plan will help you to alleviate a little bit of the stress, but we're doing everything we possibly can to make this happen.
Absolutely. And you see me and Julie here on this call right now. But this is all of the aviation unions working together. And in fact, Speaker Pelosi told our CEOs last week that she knows that this is labor's top priority. So it's all of us, it's all of labor, and we are really driving this. But we got to stay focused on that, just like Julie was saying. You know, I know it's stressful, and this is really unfair. And we could be really angry about the way that this has played out. There's plenty to be angry about around that. But if we are giving energy to that, we're not giving energy to getting the right outcome here that we all really need. And, you know, Julie and I have worked also with our sister Lynn Montgomery from TW 556 at Southwest, who we adore. Everyone has been, you know, such great partners in this. But Southwest just said that they are going to send out WARN notices. No one is escaping these furloughs. It may not be immediately on October 1st for some, but the ripple effect is going to continue if we don't get the PSP extension. So this is really going to have an impact on everyone. Everyone knows that, and we've been working across the industry together. It doesn't matter what wings you wear or what the tail of your airplane says. This is going to affect all of us. And it's also going to help all of us when we get this in place. So we really have to work on that together, and we are working on that together. And we are asking you to please stay positive, because we need your positivity. We need your action in that positivity, yourselves and with your families, and encouraging your coworkers to do the same, and your neighbors, because we are also talking about our PSP extension being a part of a larger relief package. There are people who are out of work, who do not have jobs to go back to right now, who need that unemployment. There are our hospitals who need that PPE. There are rural hospitals that need to stay open. There is public transportation and public transportation jobs that we need to keep in place. There is safety and personnel that we need to make sure that our children can have safe schooling right now. All of this is wrapped up in these relief packages. And of course, there's the United States mail. Now, I just want to note really quickly that we have a direct connection to the US mail. I don't know if everybody knows this, but the US mail is carried in the belly of our aircraft. That is where much of the air mail goes. And the US Postal Service depends on passenger commercial airlines in order to deliver the mail everywhere. So as we know, the payroll support program also requires the airlines to continue service to all of our communities. And some of those communities are in jeopardy of losing service because our airlines will be put in the position of having to cut back even further, having to put more airplanes on the ground if they have to conserve cash, because all they're doing is burning cash right now. And if that happens, some of those communities will lose that service and our US mail won't work either. So this relief package is for us, but it's really for the whole country and our veterans who count on getting their medicines that way through the mail and through using our aircraft. All of this is interconnected, and we're fighting for everyone. As we fight to save ourselves, we're fighting to save the rest of the country. And isn't that sort of emblematic of what happens every single day when we get on the airplane and when we take care of the passengers in our care with their safety, health, and security? We also know that we're looking out for everyone on the ground as well. So this is just really an extension of what we do as aviation's first responders. And we have got to demand #ReliefNow. Make sure that you are tweeting. That's the #1 way to get through to our representatives. Instagram is next best. Facebook is next best. So as Julie talked about, all those emails that were sent, continue to send the emails, continue to make the calls, use social media, and turn out to one of our Relief Now events. We're all doing this together, and together we will get it done. And so I know, Julie, you and I signed a no concessions letter a couple months ago. We know that the issue right now is not about labor costs, it is about demand. And so we are not going to allow this moment for people to take advantage of us and try to devalue our jobs. We're going to fight together to make sure that we have the best ability to lift our economy again. And the only way we can do that is by maintaining the good jobs that we have. So 10 more days to go. What else do you want to tell everybody out there?
I would just say that we need to seal the deal. This needs to get done now, and we have to continue to press Congress as much as we possibly can. I know Sarah and I are looking at possibly being in Washington this week with the CEOs. They're working on that. That may happen. There's been some changes recently that may change that, but we are looking to do everything we possibly can do, all of us, to make sure this happens. So let's get it done.
Absolutely, Julian. I just want to take a moment to note that, it was so great that you could be in Dallas at that event. I was in DC. We want everybody to know that we're working together strategically. We are spreading out and making sure that we are everywhere. So we may actually be together in DC this week at a socially distanced event. That is also a strategic move on our part. But we are going to spread out and be in different places so that we can cover more ground together. And that's what Julie and I have been working on together. And of course, also, I'm stationed here in DC as international president of AFA. We have each of our presidents at each of our airlines who negotiate directly with the airlines, just like Julie is charged with doing that all the time at American. And that leaves me free to be able to interface with Congress all the time. So we are all playing a role here. We're all jumping in and making sure that everybody's covering ground. Our government affairs committees have been working very closely together, right, Julie? And making sure that we're sharing information, sharing information and covering lots of ground. Yeah.
Our communication.
And shout out. Shout out to them. You know, I mean, we have great activists at at APFA and AFA, incredible, committed activists who have been working around the clock. I really want to thank them. I know you do too. Go ahead.
The only way we're going to get this done is if all of us work together collectively. This is the only way this is going to happen. And we know that we've seen in the last couple of months what our workforces can do when we all work together for the same cause. So we're going to get this done. I know it.
Yes. So hashtag get it done,
Yeah.
hashtag relief now, and hashtag PSP extension. You guys keep it up, keep the faith, spread the word, keep calling, keep tweeting, and show up for those events. And we are so grateful for all of you. And I think also that you and I talked before this, Julie, and I think that we just want to note too, that we have a lot of pride in being leaders of flight attendant unions, because our unions together fought to beat back incredible discrimination and to make sure that everyone with the heart of a flight attendant could be one, whether you are a man or woman or short or tall or mother or father. And so it's especially meaningful that we fight forward as we think about honoring RBG and all that she did to make sure that we could have equality in this country and that everyone can have a seat at the table. And so I think also in honor of her, we're going to fight forward and make sure that we get this done.
Yeah, well said, Sarah. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, everybody, keep it up. And we love you all. And we'll see you in the galley soon. Take care, everybody.